Everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation. I've got a special guest, somebody that I've admired for a long time, one of my favourite all-time bands, Scabies from The Damned. How are you, sir?
I'm very well indeed, thank you for asking. It's a beautiful morning over here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, congratulations for 50 years of The Damned, final tour of Australia. Is this a bittersweet experience for you?
Well, I I was sort of quite into the thing of, well, I'll do this for a while and then I'll stop, because it's like I'm getting old now and it's too much trouble, it's too painful.
Yes.
And then I thought about it and I thought, no, fuck that. Really, what I want to be doing is
Yep.
this for as long as I can. This is what I do. This is what I've always done.
Yes.
And while I can still do it, I think I should. So, as in final and last, I don't include myself in that now. I think it's a very good way to sell tickets. I think but the band are playing so good at the moment
Yep.
that we're all kind of enjoying going on stage and making a noise and I, without blowing my own trumpet, being quite impressive. Those people don't cheer because it's rubbish or because they have to. They do it because actually we've given them what they paid for.
Absolutely. Look, I've seen the Damned every time they come to Australia, and I have to say, when you came back last year before last, I said, "Thank God, Brat's back in the band." It just added so much to the back end. It was just like, "Welcome back, Brat."
Oh,
Was it
thank you.
like putting on a pair of slippers again?
Well, actually, yes, it was quite. It was a little bit daunting at first because you realise that when we made Damn Damn Damned, that was 50 years ago, and that lineup of the band didn't play for very long. So not that many people saw it, and so I realised that actually everybody that has that record has only heard that record, and playing it live would be a very different thing all these years later. And it was Brian turned around to me and I said to him, I said that to him. I said, fuck, we got to play these a lot faster and stuff. And he said, no. He said, it's not about what I was, it's about what I am now.
Mm.
And that really sunk home. And I thought, no, he's right, because if I try and do something, if I try and play some of the things I played back then, I'm going to fall on my arse. It's not going to work. But if I do them so I can make it work now and still sound great without it taking anything away, then that's good enough for me. That'll do it.
I reckon you probably heard this question so many times. Like, what's it like? Did you think at the time that you were in the first punk band to do a first punk single and a first punk album? But really, when you guys got together, you just wanted to make music. You didn't really think that you were creating a revolution or a movement, did you?
Absolutely not. I mean, Brian James was the visionary. He was the one who knew what he wanted to do and how it should be done, and that was kind of the template for punk. He was, and I loved the way he played. So for me, it was quite easy when I met up with him and we got the music thing happening. It was like, well, okay, let's see how this turns out. Let's see what happens next. And it just kept on going. It was kind of quite surreal because it was never meant to be stored, preserved, looked at, or even listened to this far later on. No, I never even thought there'd be a copy of New Rose around today, let alone, So it's it's a question I've had to answer too many times, but no, of course we didn't. We didn't know what we were doing. We just went in, did it, and it's not for us to say how long it lasts or how long it should last. It's for it's for the audience.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who was first. It's just that you were there and you created a great body of work. And like New Rose, what a song.
Mm.
What you bring to that song is your drums, that sound. It was like were you very influenced by surf rock? You know, those surf
No, not
rock
very
drum
much.
fills? Yeah.
No, not very much. Sandy Nelson, I was a big fan of,
All right. Okay.
and the Dave Clark Five, and Gene Krupa and people like that. You know, it was anything that had drums on really was what I was into. But I was never good enough to play a lot of those things that those guys could do. You know, so I did my best, and I suppose out of that you develop a different style. You know,
Yeah. You had a lot of famous fans around the Damn Damn Down. I've read Paul McCartney, Tick, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page. They were really. How did you guys feel like all these famous Ligerons at the 100 Club or whatnot? You know, were you
well,
thinking, wow, what's happening here?
well, yeah, very much. It was. You know, when Led Zeppelin come to one of your gigs, and I was, you know, a nobody from nowhere, and just kind of chancing it with this group of people and an audience that were kind of hadn't had enough time to be outcast, but were definitely not the mainstream. And so to suddenly have, you know, the biggest rock band in the world come down to your gig, and then to tell you that they liked it and how much they enjoyed what you did, and it was, wow, that's a lot further than I ever expected to get, you know. So I was kind of very flattered, I suppose. But also, you know, it boosts the confidence because you know you're doing something right. And,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
and the way we were thinking about the world was, you know, was working.
Yeah. So after the Damn Damn Damn, great first album, fantastic. And then you go Music for Pleasure. Is it true that you guys were on the cusp of getting Sid Barrett to produce
Well,
the album, or is that urban myth?
no, it's true. We wanted Sid Barrett to do it, but Sid wasn't well enough. His health was too bad. He couldn't do it.
Right.
And that was why he didn't do it. It wasn't like, oh no, not the Damned, I don't want to do that. It was kind of, you know, he's just not capable of making a record and going through the things he had to. It was, you know, so yeah, so that was how we ended up with Nick Mason. It was the Pink Floyd connection. The record
Yeah.
company wanted that because
Yes.
it meant we'd probably sell a few more copies in America or something. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But a very difficult gig for Nick, really, because
Mm.
all of our audience went fucking Pink Floyd and the Damned, you know. So
I'm seeing the T-shirt. I'm visualising it
yeah,
with a big cross over the Pink
yeah.
Floyd symbol. Was there a bit of a culture clash? Because he was kind of old school, you're young upstarts. Was there a bit of a, you know, from a personality point of view, was there a bit of a clash or a bit of a personality
No,
divide? No? It was
no,
all right?
no, not at all. He was fine. I mean, he was very pro, actually. You know, it was, you know, again, it's about choosing the takes and the versions of the songs. And I think what Nick did actually was he just recorded the band very well, so you could hear everything that was going on, and he didn't try and change it in any way. And I think, you know, maybe he should have. Maybe he should have gone out there a bit more and made it a bit more
Yep.
psychedelic. But I think it was very difficult with a band that plays the music we did on that album because it's very, very busy. There's ever such a lot going on, you know. And but no, he was very cool. I like Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of lineup changes with the Dam, but there's a few versions of the band that had real chemistry. And I'd say the first lineup, the Damn 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 lineup, and this lineup that you're touring with now, the Black Album, then you had Strawberries. What do you think made those lineups work so well, Brad?
Well, Paul Gray is a big ingredient there because he's very easy to play with. And in fact, he and I never ever work out a part together because there's a kind of automatic, when he does something, I do something, and we both kind of know what the other guy is going to do. And that locks it in and makes it really kind of a pleasure because, you don't become static because every bit has to be the same as it was. I can go off and play different things during some of the songs, and we work together and we go together without having to worry about it. And so I think that's one of the strengths is that when you've got him and Captain and Dave, who really know, their stuff, you don't have to think about what they're doing. You don't have to worry about whether they're in time, whether you're in the same chorus or whether you're in the same place. And, they kind of, they've done it. And so you can just get on with listening to the band, which is what I do now, which is quite a new thing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you very rarely listen to the actual band when you're in it. Usually you're listening to what you do. And, so it's quite good to have the luxury of, talented players that you don't have to think about.
The band has evolved their sound from punk to psychedelic, gothic, and even pop. Were you personally comfortable with these changes?
Yeah. Oh, very much. No, I was very pleased. They, you don't start playing to sort of stay in the same place your whole career. It's like, I want to stretch what I do. I want to be better at what I do. And the only way you do that is by playing different things. If you stick to your same formula, you never move on, you never progress. So I like doing things, I played with Donovan for a while, which was a really totally different mindset to an electric band
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it because it meant I had to adapt what I did. I had to change what I did and I had to rethink what I did. And that's only ever going to be a good thing.
Yeah. With the Strawberries album, which is a personal favourite of mine, I get the feeling it's a bit of a Captain Sensible farewell album. He's saying goodbye. How did you guys feel about Captain leaving the band and going into this, being a pop star, going into that solo? Were you guys a little bit pissed off, or?
Well, financially, it was disappointing because we were broke and we were really needed to get another record deal and we needed to work again, And suddenly he wasn't there to do it, so it became, every cloud has a silver lining. So on the one hand, Captain was obviously quite ready to be somewhere else musically and with what he was doing and stuff. But out of that, Roman then stepped up to play guitar. And it gave us a new lease of life. We came out with, the Phantasmagoria album,
Yes.
Eloise, that stuff. And so if Captain hadn't gone, we wouldn't have got to that point. So it was, I don't know, it's all good, isn't it? You can't have any regrets about something that happened. And
No. Well, you went to strength. Like you're on the top of the pops. You're charting right up in the charts in Britain, and I think the Dam in that period were many different things to many different people, because I saw your tour when you toured Australia around that era, and just looking at the crowd, you had the punks, you had gothics, you had metalheads, you had rock fans, you had just your average Joe music fan. You were just like this cross genre of all these different people that gravitated because of the Phantasmagoria. That must have been, wonderful just to open up the gates for you.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of fights, though. But yeah, it was kind of weird in some ways because it depended on what song you'd play as to who would fight their way down to the front of the stage, So if we do New Rose, all the punks would run forward, then we do Eloise and all the goths would rush forward. And then, funnily enough, we do the middle ground stuff like Smash It Up and stuff from Strawberries. And actually that was kind of quite a good meeting point for all of them.
Do you think if it wasn't for Strawberries, there may have not have been a Phantasmagoria? It's a bit of it feels like a natural transition from one album to the next sonically.
Yeah,
you're going into that sort of that type of songcraft?
Well, we gave ourselves a lot of freedom. There were no rules at all. And because we were still very new at it, even then, it was all still discovering things and things that sounded good. And can we try this? Can we try that? Hey, this has got this kind of sound. That might work. A real sort of melting pot of ideas and stuff. But we developed from doing a Young One show, the whole kind of let's all wear black and put Dave up the front. And, we had this kind of, okay, well, we need to keep it a bit dark. We need to keep it kind of a bit spooky. And it was really all about the public's perception of Dave as, he sleeps in a coffin. So, okay, we want to move away from that. But, at the same time, you want to keep that flavour.
Yeah.
So, I guess non-committal.
He's a man of mystery, Dave. Do you, after all these years, do you know Dave? Or you still scratch your head and go, who is this guy?
Not as much as you'd think, because nothing about Dave will ever surprise me. It's like you have to keep it open. You can't try and predict or pre-think or preempt or whatever. It doesn't work.
That's part of his charisma, I guess. That's why he's wonderful for the band. I think you're all different characters. That's what keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's what keeps it interesting when we travel and when we have to do things and when we're together. Because I've forgotten how funny they all are. There's a great sense of humour in The Damned that doesn't get seen very often, but there is one that's, which makes it a lot better.
How did it feel that returning to the band in 2022 for the Brian James shows, was that really special to you just to get the original four back on stage?
Yeah, it was. I mean, initially it was about the money. But me and Brian had been playing together on and off throughout the whole period anyway. So we were kind of, we were okay about working together. And it was really, how was it going to sound, And when we all got into a room for the first time in nearly 30 years together all at once, and we started to play, and it was a totally different thing. And you could see, actually, it was the road crew with a real giveaway, because we went in and started playing, and you could see they all immediately were like sitting back and going, blimey, what is this here? It was kind of, we were on form.
I could, because I got the official bootlegs off the soundboard, and you guys are just, all the repartee between you, it just sounded like a group of four mates getting back together. Is it really hard to put a song list together after 50 years? Or, do you, is there a lot of fights about it?
When we did Wembley, it took 2 days to write the set list. You just had to keep on trying, changing, because you have to do the hits, really, because that's why people are there.
Yep.
But then you've got the hardcore Damned fans that would probably like to hear Nasty, because of the Young Ones. But it was never a single, it was never a hit, it's just in that show. But a lot of the fans know it. So should you put that in as well? Because, well, okay, maybe you should. And then, well, we should do that one because, Hans Zimmer produced it, and that's a big shot, and also we like that track. So it was just hard to really sort out what was important and what wasn't, and what worked musically.
Was that surreal, playing at the O2 and just thinking like, wow, 50 years ago we started at the 100 Club, from one to the other.
It's where I thought we should always end up, was doing that. I always had sort of, well, not always, but that's where I always wanted to be, and always dreamt, wouldn't it be lovely if you could get that far?
Yeah.
It's good. It makes it worthwhile.
And, you auditioned for Jimmy Page for the Firm. Do you ever think about sliding doors, if you actually were part of that band, what trajectory your career would have gone?
No, I don't really. I think, but thinking about it as you've asked me, I think, it probably would have just ended up with being another session drummer or something. I
Yep.
don't know. But, when you get the chance to play with someone like that,
Yes.
and you're in the same room and he's only a few feet away and you're watching him,
Mm.
it's like, it's quite a thing because he plays good.
Is that the sort
But
of music? Was that in your wheelhouse? Did you hit after listening to the album? Did you think to yourself, maybe that's not the sort of music I would have wanted to play?
well, he was searching for John Bonham, and
Mm.
Jimmy Page writes songs the way he writes them, and everything he
Yeah.
does sounds like Led Zeppelin because that's him. It's and so I'm not really a Bonham sort of player.
Mm.
So it was great to do and it was fun and we hit some highs while we were doing it, but it was kind of not really my bag.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know. But
Well, every interview I've read of him, he praises you to the high heavens. So that's
I
not
know,
shabby. I think you're very well respected in the classic rock community. So it just goes to show everything.
doesn't
Just
it just?
the genres just blend, don't they?
Well, I think, you see, I don't think I'm very good.
Oh,
I
come
kind
on!
of,
Seriously?
no,
Oh,
seriously, when
you're
you,
phenomenal.
when you get, when you become, when you set in your own mind that you're good, you stop trying and you stop working at it and you stop,
Yep.
and I don't ever want that to happen. I want to keep it going. So I always, I think, I watch YouTube and you see these like 8-year-old Korean kids playing Neil Peart drum solos, and I'd sort of, I'm like, I can't do that. Anyone
Yeah.
can do what I do, but I can't necessarily do what they do.
Yeah.
I sort of,
Absolutely.
but it doesn't bother me really. It'd be
Yeah.
nice if I could do all that Buddy Rich stuff, but I can't, and I don't. So what I
Yeah.
do is I stick to kind of what I know I can do and I'm comfortable with. So it's it seems to work okay.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're back because, as I said, it's like a pair of slippers you've just slipped on. You're back and you're part of the Damned. So, Rat, what's up for the rest of the year? So you're touring Australia. Is there other regions that you'll be touring as part of the 50th
Yeah,
celebration?
yeah. New Zealand, Australia, Japan, America, and the UK, with a
Right.
bunch of other shows in between. We're doing some stuff with the Hollywood Vampires and then Alice Cooper,
Right.
which should be good fun. I like
That'll
being
be
in
a
a big
lot
band.
of fun. Do you think there's any chance some of the other members that have been in the Damned might pop up for a cameo here and there?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. Those that are still alive, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
we got a
absolutely.
short.
And do you think you'd be able to squeeze out another record? Never say never with Under the Damned?
No. Well, after we did that, whoops. Sorry, I'm getting messages. After we did, Not Like Everybody Else, it seemed much more feasible that we could maybe go in and do an album. So
Yeah.
we take everything easy. It's not, nobody wants to, right, we're going to do this on Wednesday because it's like, well, hang on a minute, do we really want to do that on Wednesday? So
Yeah.
never say never. I'll find out this weekend. We're rehearsing and playing a show. So we're all going to be together and chatting away.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Looking forward to seeing you and the Damned playing the Sydney Opera House. Folks, check out the tour. If there's a ticket, please buy it. And Rat, I'd love to talk to you again because just so little time because I've only just touched the surface. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's been wonderful talking to you, mate.
All right, Peter. Well, I'll see you in Sydney.
Okay. Cheers, mate. See ya.
Take it easy. Cheers.
Okay. Bye.